Hello and good afternoon from the CEO Legal Coach, Acacia Thornton. I am so excited coming to you live from Vegas right now. We are going to talk about how NDAs can increase revenue. Yes, that little document that you see come across your desk or that maybe you send out can actually be worth a lot of money, even though no money is being exchanged right now. And that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to get into some really good stuff. So let's deep dive in. Now, please excuse me. As you can tell, I'm still going with my Princess Leia look for the microphone, but we won't be doing that forever. We're almost to an end there. I'm just so indecisive about what's the best microphone for all of you. Now, what is some of the action headed your way today? We are going to do a quick 20, 30-minute little talk, just kind of about the passion and purpose behind NDAs and what that means for revenue for you, right? We're going to get into 5 ways it means for revenue. And then I'm going to open it up to your live Q&A. So be prepared to find the chat on your button. Some of you are coming from YouTube, some of you from LinkedIn, as well as some of our other live streaming right now. So know that I'll get all of those. So just make sure you have that ready. And then as always, I'm going to give you guys a freebie, a free download for you to enjoy that's going to help support your goals in today's topic. Now, as always, everything here is for the business owner's perspective. While there might be some legal aspects to an NDA, the truth is it's all about protecting your business and increasing your business revenue. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, not the legalese of this stuff, not the little boring. No, let's talk about what a business is for: passion, projects, profit, and let's go. So now, why even listen to me? Why do I know what I'm talking about? If you don't know me by now, my name is Acacia Thornton. I'm the CEO Legal Coach. I am a longtime licensed attorney, business coach, but also a small business consultant. I have done small business consulting with the Wells Fargo Center for Small Business. I also work with the Small Business Development Center across the country. So a lot of opportunities to work with solopreneurs up to Fortune 500s throughout my career. And I'm a big believer in making the money, making that momentum, and protecting it with the contracts. Contracts are not meant to be your stop and go. They keep the going going. And that is kind of what we're talking about today, right? Your purpose, your passion. How do we keep that going for you when it comes to an NDA? What is an NDA? An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. And what that means is it's a document both parties are going to sign, usually very early in the relationship. Maybe you're talking about money, maybe you're not. Maybe we're just kind of getting ideas, discussing, do you want to work with these people? Or you might already know that, hey, we're ready to move forward. Either way, the NDA is going to be the document that you sign that says any of the information exchanged between us. All the stuff we're going to talk about here about our business and how we operate and our secret dealings that make us money, well, you're not allowed to share that with anybody. You're not allowed to share that with anybody that we don't approve, and you're not allowed to use it for a purpose that we don't approve. And that really means that you, as the owner and originator of that information, you can be sure you're the one who gets to profit from your information. Because if your information can be used in ways you didn't intend, that use might mean money for the other side or for somebody else they work with. It also means your information can't get into other people's hands. So many of us work in an industry, which means there's so many of us who are competitors, customers, and suppliers of each other in that industry. Well, the wrong piece of information going into the wrong conversation at the wrong time, if it's your information, that could be harmful to your revenue, as well as the trust you have in the industry. And that's what an NDA does, is it builds two-way trust. You know your information is trusted in the other party's hands, but they also know that when they share information with you, you can't go abuse it either. You got to be careful about how you profit from it, how you share it, whom you share it with, and so on. Which leads us to this third point here. NDAs, at the end of the day, enable you to play and protect at the exact same time. And that's what we're going to look at here. What are all the different ways that you can play as a business owner that make more money because you have an NDA protecting the baseline from the very beginning? And what is those ways? The first one is customer trust. This is one of the few that we're going to talk about today. That's one direction, where a lot of the others are about building revenue together. But when we go out and we find a customer, we've won that customer's business. What does that ultimately mean? It means we've earned the customer's trust. And an NDA is really important because it says, dear customer, you can trust that me and my company, we do the right thing the right way at a level we're willing to be accountable. There is enforceability that we give you to hold us accountable in how we treat this relationship and this dynamic together so that we can properly support you as your vendor, as your supplier, and help you thrive and grow as a customer. And that in turn will, of course, create more revenue between the two of you. The more customer trust you have, the more they're willing to work with you, buy from you, and so on. And that is a really big key of NDAs, is it creates the ability for your customers to trust you. And this is really helpful early on. And if you maybe don't have an established brand yet, or you're still working on that, or you're entering a new market, you're entering into new customers who maybe haven't heard of you yet, or you're the first time coming up with something new, you're a disruptor of some sort, or you have a new technology. The NDA from the very beginning with your customers is a great way to say, hey, we do the right thing. You can trust us. Another great way to make money using an NDA is collaborations and partnerships. Some examples are investors, right? You want to go out there, maybe need some investment to start your company or to scale it to the next level. Investors, what are they looking at? They're looking at the odds of getting their money back versus the risk of losing it. Well, when you have an NDA in place, you're showing to them that you don't only have an NDA with them, you have NDAs with everybody else you talk to, even if it's their competitors, even if it's your competitors. You're showing investors you do the right thing the right way, but that also nobody else can profit from your ideas or the information you're sharing because you've protected it along the way with NDAs. So NDAs aren't just a way to show the investor themselves with them, but that you have them in place with your other relationships gives confidence to potential investors that you're doing the right thing and that they're not going to put their money towards something that just goes and gets leaked out the door in another way because there wasn't an NDA in place with that customer, with that freelancer, or with that supplier. This is going to be protected. So it's definitely something that investors look for when they're going to invest in a company. Same with joint ventures. If you need to possibly work with another company or build a third company together, them plus you together, third, how do you do that? Trust. You have to have trust that knowing that they're not going to come along and take your ideas and go elsewhere with it, or just make it their ideas. And they're going to want the same trust from you. So joint ventures and projects, collaborations is a great way to make money, but only to do so with that protect and play. You want to be playful in these opportunities. Play in the ways you can create revenue. Play with the ideas and the conversations. We always are better when we're working and talking with others because we build on the ideas and we build on the conversation. That play can only happen in the area of trust, and the NDA is going to do that. And same with the co-creation of products and innovation. A lot of times collaborations when you're working early on, like I've got a client, he's a big content creator, phenomenal at it, and he's trying to build a whole new level to his company. So he's talking with all these different producers, directors, all of these things. And I'm like, don't forget to get an NDA in there, because what we don't want to happen is that you no longer become the face of this idea. We don't want those producers, those directors working with their other teammates or their other people in the industry to go do this a different way. We want you to get the value of your ideas that you're building with them. And so collaborations and partnership is definitely another way that NDAs continue to support and build greater revenue by having them there. One that might surprise you is working with your competitors. Look, we all have competitors in the market, but sometimes the best way forward is to work with them. And this is, I think, the GlaxoSmithKline and the COVID-19 vaccine is a great example of that. They each had an expertise. They each had something that the other one did not, and we never would have had the COVID-19 vaccine as fast as we did, and at the level of production and availability into the market the way we did if those two competitors weren't willing to work together. And why were they willing to work together? Why were they willing to put down their armor of being competitors? It wasn't just to make money and to bring an answer, but because there was trust. They knew that through NDAs and confidentiality terms, they could openly, honestly collaborate together to bring something to life and to the market that wouldn't have existed that way if they weren't willing to work together. So two competitors came together, the BMW and Toyota. Sorry, Toyota is another example. We have fuel cell technology because those two companies decided that each of their expertise combined was going to do great things in the market, but it did not make sense for them to merge. It didn't make sense for them to buy each other. Their brands needed to coexist separately. They needed to continue competing in the way they were going to compete as companies in the market. But there was this opportunity for them to really enhance and change the market and vehicles for the long term, but only if they worked together. And all of these are required, to have that trust in order to have that play, which leads to the profit. And that protection base was NDAs. Are you guys liking this so far? Let me check the chat. How's everyone doing out there? Are we good? Okay, sure, yeah. I like it. Yes. Of course. Okay, so good. I'm glad you guys are liking it. We're actually almost there. We've got kind of 3 main points left, and then we'll open up to your questions so you can go ahead and get those ready. Another way that NDAs continue to help you make money is just keeping your secrets safe. Trade secrets are the longest lasting form of intellectual property. They are the only ones that have the potential to last in perpetuity, not copyright, not patents, not trademarks, trade secrets. But there's one caveat. There's one caveat to keeping your trade secret a trade secret, to having that intellectual property right. And what is it? It's got to stay secret. But sometimes we have to collaborate with others to get business done. And that's why an NDA is what keeps it secret. By saying this cannot be disclosed, AKA it must stay secret. So having trade secrets protected by NDAs is actually a necessity anytime you're going to share or disclose the information of your trade secret. Otherwise, you completely lose the right in the trade secret itself. And as we know, there are some crazy, amazing, successful brands out there exclusively because of a trade secret. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola's recipe is one of the biggest and most popular, longest lasting trade secrets out there. And it is done so with collaboration, right? They have bottling companies. They have people that help them. They have scientists that come in and make sure everything is right. Well, as they have all this coming in, parts of that trade secret need to be disclosed. That recipe needs to be shared. And they would completely lose that. And anybody else in the world, go ahead and take that and make money from it. But they can't, because every single time Coca-Cola reveals that trade secret, it is behind a protected wall of an NDA. It is behind terms of confidentiality, meaning it would be a violation for anybody to share that with anybody else or to use Coca-Cola's recipe in any way Coca-Cola does not approve. And that is how Coca-Cola continues to still make money and revenue from that one recipe created a long time ago. Yes, it's changed over the years, but the same concept applies. They've been able to protect that and keep that ongoing. Another successful one is KFC. Colonel Sanders, his chicken, his original recipe, kind of making me hungry right now, but that was also kept secret. He had to go talk to franchises. He had to go talk to businesses as ways to keep his restaurant idea alive. He had a single recipe. What was he going to do? He had to go work with others to get that name out there, to get that brand out there, to get the chicken out there. But to do that, he didn't want somebody else coming along, paying for his recipe to use it for a little bit and then go out the door and do it themselves. he would have lost the revenue. He kept that revenue behind closed doors by using terms of confidentiality like an NDA to do that. So protecting your trade secrets is how a lot of companies survive and thrive, and it is all done behind closed doors of confidentiality. And this one, now let's turn inward for a bit. We were just talking about working with others. What about leaks that happen from within your own team? NDAs not just prevent other people from taking your ideas, they prevent your own team of freelancers and employees from leaking those ideas, right? We all sometimes have freelancers, whether it's for a project or if you're a startup and not ready to take on employees, you have freelancers. You're sharing your information with them. They are going to also be serving the industry. They might be like, hey, to their next potential discovery call or potential client, hey, I just worked with so-and-so. Here's what they're doing. Here's how we did it. Let me give that to you too. You don't want that happening with your information. That is not why you were working with that freelancer. You were working with that freelancer to build your revenue, to build your product funnels, to build your offerings to your market, and have their benefits and have the benefits of their knowledge as a freelancer to support your goals. You don't want them taking that and sharing that with somebody else just because the project is done or because they have multiple ongoing clients and you're just one of them. Same with your employees. Employees rarely share things while they're in the contract, but the second they leave the company, they're going to go somewhere. Or they might leave disgruntled and start sharing information. There's the idea of whistleblowing, and that's when things are being illegal and against the law. But what about the ideas themselves? Your know-how, your processes, the information they've learned and absorbed while working for you and with you. Just because they're no longer employed by you, they might get to go somewhere, but that doesn't mean they have the right to take your ideas with them. NDAs, terms of confidentiality, are how we do that. And under the FTC's recent announcement of looking to ban non-competes, your employees can go directly to your competitors tomorrow. But if you have an NDA in place, they can't take the information with them. So what does this really all mean? It's not just about the idea right now. It's about the next idea. Right? When you're building relationships with your employees, you're building relationships with your customers, you're building relationships with your suppliers in all of your industry contexts. What are you building? You're building trust. And it's not just about what you talk about now. Once you have your personal trust built, you really start to skyrocket with your ideas and your opportunities for great success together. And when we have that trust personally, we sometimes don't stop and rethink, well, do I have the protection personally? If you have an NDA already in place, that NDA can continue to provide that ongoing support. It can continue to give you that opportunity to build momentum, build revenue, and build trust without being like, oh, hold up, got to stop everything. Can't go any further. Can't have that call. We got to get legal involved. We got to get it. You have your NDA from the beginning. You keep going and you keep going. And then all you got to do is renew that NDA, extend that NDA, expand the purpose of the NDA. Very simple things. You don't have to stop and go. Keep building that momentum. And so that is today's freebie, is a free NDA. I'm going to give you the NDA right here, right now, with a guide to customize it for your purpose, for your business in under 10 minutes. Yes, in under 10 minutes, you're going to have an NDA ready to go. And this one is designed for business to business relationships. So whether that's with your freelancers, your suppliers, your investors, your joint ventures, your competitors, everything that we talked about today, except your employees, because that's a different type of NDA, this one is going to address all of them. By having this NDA in place from the beginning, you're going to be able to build that trust, build revenue, and come up with creative ways to serve your markets, even if that means working with your competitors to do so, all because you have an NDA of trust that gives you the opportunity to go out there and play. Super, super exciting. So if you guys are ready, go ahead and find the chat. I see some of you have already found the chat. You're already throwing stuff in there. Okay. Let me get in there. It's time for our Q&A session. Let's see what we got in here. Okay. Real world examples. Any other real world? Yeah. Let's see for a sec. I got one. Okay. I read the Steve Jobs biography a few years ago, and talk about a ride, right? Steve Jobs with Pixar and Disney. That was quite a ride. Pixar was at times a redheaded stepchild to Disney. Sometimes Pixar was the answer to Disney. Sometimes it was a collaborator to Disney. And sometimes it became Disney's future. Pixar remained independent. Pixar kept its opportunity to have its own technology and not lose its ideas, even though it was working with Disney to make the Toy Stories, to make all those Disney Pixar's things that we have and we know and we love wholeheartedly. Look at that relationship of how that's changed over the years. And it was all able to happen phase by phase because there was an NDA in terms of confidentiality between them. Otherwise, Disney could have just taken the employees and taken the information. Disney could have just taken the technology. Pixar could have taken from Disney. Whichever side could have done things a different way. But instead, by having terms of confidentiality there, each side protected its ideas, its information, and what made it unique in the relationship in order to move forward. And now those two are the same company. And a sale like that, a collaboration like that, a joint venture like that would never have happened if it wasn't that terms of confidentiality were in place along the whole way. And they were able to build trust together, but also have the impact in the market that they did together. That was only possible because of NDAs. So I think that's a big example of just kind of like, like that one really went the roller coaster over time. Yeah, the Disney Pixar collaboration for sure. Let's see what else we got. Does it really attract more investors? Okay. Yes. Right. I mean, it's not like your investors on your first meeting, right? Your investors or potential investors still need to be inspired by your business plan. They still need to be inspired by your idea and the impact in the market and the profitability of all of that. But their investors look at the odds of getting their money back for their investment, right? How much profit are they going to make? And the time it takes to do that, but also the risk. And the biggest risks to companies are the loss of the value of the ideas, the revenue being stolen or taken because there's depreciation of the value of the idea or the product in the market, competitors coming in, things going obsolete. So a lot of the things on the risk side of the equation for an investment company have to do with whether or not the right contract terms are there. And a big one, besides what profits are coming in or the supplier situations, is the terms of confidentiality. It's the biggest risk. If there were no terms of confidentiality, then really your ideas aren't yours. You've already shared them, meaning this opportunity for money, for an investment, isn't exclusively yours. The investor now has choices. If your ideas are the same as everybody else's because everybody else has stolen your ideas or taken your ideas because they had access to your ideas, and there's no way for you to hold that accountable, the investor does not need to invest in you to get the same benefit or to have that same profit to risk factor. That completely changes. So in terms of confidentiality and how you've grown your business and how you set those relationships is very important. Yes. So it's not the numbers side of it directly, profit versus investment in time, but it is going to be a huge part of how well are those contracts set with all of that so they can evaluate the risk and the long-term outlook for success. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Can you have NDAs with employees under the FTC's ban? Yeah. So the FTC's ban is being challenged right now, but what the FTC did is they came in and they're like, hey, Non-competes, which are different than non-disclosures, non-competes are no longer going to be enforceable, aka no longer legal or legally valid, in employee contracts anymore. And because of that, the FTC believes it's going to create more of a free market for employees. And that means that employees can now go wherever they want. That means your competitors, but it also means your competitors can now get their hands on your employees, but you also can get your hands on your competitors' employees. So it's not just one way, it's an open market concept. But there's a difference between the manpower, the brain, the skills, the experience that a person brings versus your company's information. A lot of companies did or do have the non-compete, the part that the FTC is looking to ban, in their NDA. But that doesn't mean the rest of the NDA's concept is invalid. Now, there's a question as to whether or not your NDA needs to be re-signed or not. That's a different question. But the reason somebody can go somewhere is to have that free market of personal choice and competitive business. Protecting your ideas is still permitted. In fact, it's necessary under IP laws. As we discussed, like trade secrets, for example, you're required to have an NDA or terms of confidentiality, even when your employee gets your trade secret access, because without that, you no longer have a trade secret. So the FTC is not banning the opportunity for us to put terms of confidentiality between us and our employees. It is merely removing the prohibition on the employee going where they want to go, even if that is a competitor. And so what this means is actually more important to have terms of non-disclosure in place with your employees and to remind them of that when they depart. We have the Boss from the Beach program. If you guys don't know about that, the Boss from the Beach program is a program that I've created where I walk you through all of these things, not just how to have the employee NDAs in place, but when your employee leaves, here's the steps you should take. If the other side is taking your information to your competitors, what do you do? It'll walk you through all of that and give you all those templates. But that is why that's there, because the non-disclosure is still imperative to business success, particularly business based off of IP, where a non-compete is merely about the person going somewhere. So not only can you have NDAs with your employees, you absolutely should have terms of confidentiality, usually almost like 98% of the time in the form of an NDA with your employees directly. Just go ahead and remove the non-compete portion because that part looks like it'll be no longer legally valid. Any other questions? Oh, you love that one. Oh, I'm glad. Oh, good. Okay. I love all the love coming in, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Boss from the Beach. Go to CEOLegalcoach.com. It's under my programs there. You'll find it there. That's where it is. All that stuff is available like on the spot, and you can have all the access that you need for sure. Yeah, you're very welcome. All right. Did we get through all of the questions? That's really it. I expected more questions than this. You're good? Okay. Well, I'm sure some of you will come up with more questions here in a bit. That is okay. Go ahead and comment below. We do track our videos, as well as you can always reach me through my website, CEO Legal Coach. This has been Acacia. I hope you guys have a great and